Let him know if he needs to be anywhere else.
Tell me where you need me. Very good.
Is everyone else good? Yep. Okay.
All right, so just real quick, my name is Matt, M-A-T-T, Mills, M-I-L-L-S, Assistant Chief, University of Arkansas Police Department. Around 12:30 today, we received our first 911 call of a man with a gun and shots fired inside Mullins Library. Officers from our agency, as well as many outside responding agencies, including Fayetteville, Springdale, Taneytown, State Police, Washington County Sheriff's Office, all responded to the scene. Before we were able to clear the scene, we received a total of 308 landline phone calls and 38 911 calls that covered 7 different buildings on campus, all reporting either a suspect or shots fired, an active shooter event. From there, the officers were able to clear all of the buildings. We cleared them floor by floor, room by room, escorted many students, faculty, and staff out of the buildings, and then were able to break down command and open the buildings. At this time, we have no record of shots fired, no injuries. It's looking as if this was another swatting or hoax call. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
I was a little confused about what you were talking about. So you have 300 landline calls and
308 landline calls and 31 911 calls.
All the same, around the same time.
All in the same period and all the same time into our communications center.
And they were just reporting, what were they saying?
They all varied. Some of them were shots fired, some of them were concerned citizens or parents asking what they should do. Their children are reporting this. So it was everything from possible suspect information to questions.
Have you been able to get a handle on who was involved in this or how many people might be responsible?
We have not yet. We're starting to look at where the phone calls came from, what we might be able to do as far as tracing or pinging cell phones, but right now we don't have any of that information.
What were the 7 buildings? Could you tell us that?
I was afraid you were going to ask me that. Okay, you guys can't put this part on the TV. I'm referring to my notes. Looks like we had calls at, of course, Mullins Library, the 1021 Food Hall, the Art District, which is the new building on MLK, Pat Walker Health Center, the Fine Arts Center, Old Main, and a report of the 9th floor of Humphreys Hall.
Can you talk us through what's the lockdown procedure for students in class on campus?
So what we do is we send out the emergency alert that says avoid, deny, and defend. So avoid, if you can get out, and take as many people with you as you can. If you cannot, then deny access, barricade the doors, turn off the lights, and prepare to defend yourself if a threat comes in. I will say many of the buildings that we were able to, or many of the rooms that we were able to get people out of had in fact turned off the lights, barricaded the doors, and there were many people in several of the rooms.
From the first time this started about 12:30 this afternoon, how long would you say it was before you really had a handle on what was going on?
I'd have to look at the numbers. Again, the first call was in Mullins, and while we were searching that building is when we received all of the other multiple calls. We broke down our command post around probably 2:45, 3 o'clock. So it was a couple of hours before we were able to clear all of the buildings.
Talk about the mindset for law enforcement of going into a situation like this when it's chaotic and you're getting these kind of calls and everybody's frantic.
Sure. So from the law enforcement side, you've got multiple agencies responding from all over the region. We've linked up together. We're forming teams to search these rooms. The mindset is quite simply, if there's a bad guy, find the bad guy. Make sure that we put ourselves in between the bad guy and our innocent students, faculty, staff, and guests.
Where do things go from here?
We'll continue to look at the phone calls to see if, maybe we can track a phone number. This isn't the first time this has happened. The University of South Carolina had one last night. There's been a couple of more across the nation recently. So it's a problem, but we'll continue to investigate it from our side to see if we can track down and maybe locate one of the callers at least that called in and caused the issues.
There was a lot of fear today with parents, students. School started just last week. What are your response to that and those fears?
Well, I hope the parents understand that as they see the response from the law enforcement on scene, how important their child's safety is to us. every child, every staff member, every faculty member, their safety is our paramount concern. So I hope they understand that and they can see the response as such, and it will echo in that.
Will law enforcement be able to do kind of a post-mortem on this and see how effective the plan was?
Absolutely. We're actually, the reason I was delayed right here was because we're doing a departmental after action, and then we'll get the leaders from the other agencies as well. And we'll talk about this not only from the law enforcement side, but also from the administration side of how we can respond quicker, how we can respond better, the things we did good, the things we didn't, or that we need to improve on.
Was there anybody detained?
No, at this time there is not.
What is the penalty for something like this if you find them?
Well, it would depend on several different things, but there could be charges. We would work with the prosecutor's office to determine the best charge if we can find somebody.
Any message you would have for the individual or individuals who were part of this today?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing to remember, and we were talking about it upstairs, for those that have been around a while, this was almost 3 years to the day of our 25th anniversary of the Kimple Hall incident. So we take this very seriously. Law enforcement is going to respond. We are going to continue to try to find this individual or these individuals, and we will prosecute to the amount that we're able to.
On the note of you had mentioned the similar calls that happened at universities recently. Is it too early to say, or do you have any evidence to show you that this was one of those?
Yeah, I have no idea, yeah.
And as a follow-up to that, is this the sort of thing that like the FBI would be getting involved in if it involves multiple?
Yeah, they were on scene with us, so if we need their assistance, they've already offered it, and we will use every resource that we have available to us.
And just to be crystal clear, so I know you got many hundreds of calls, some of them were panic people. It sounds like you didn't get anyone saying, I saw a guy with a gun walking that way.
We did get some reports of that, but again, we take the report and we respond accordingly, and we weren't able to find anybody that matched the descriptions given.
No evidence to suggest
Right,
somebody
right.
You're saying this is the second time this fall this has happened here on campus?
No. South Carolina, the University of South Carolina had an event yesterday.
Okay.
This is the first time that we've seen this.
It's happened before here at the University of Arkansas.
We had a shooting August 28th of 2000. That's what I was referencing in almost 25 years to the day.
This might be getting into too much detail. When you get hundreds of calls all at once, are you able to see the numbers? Can the dispatch even answer that many calls all at once? Like, how does that?
So, yes and no. Sometimes they come in as anonymous numbers if somebody's blocked their number or if it's spoofed. But with that volume of calls, it's extremely hard for the dispatchers to log all of the phone numbers.
And these were calls to UAPD, not to Fayetteville PD?
Well, they were both. So we had calls to us, we get 911 calls. Specifically, the 911 would have been transferred from the other agency if they came in via cell phone. If it was from one of our phones, whether our VoIP phones or a landline phone called 911, it would ring directly into our dispatch center.
Can you talk us through what led you guys to conclude the active investigation on campus this afternoon?
The biggest thing is we searched every building top to bottom, opened the doors, made sure that everybody was out, and we found no evidence of any injury or suspect.
Safe to say it'll be a long rest of the day ahead here as your investigators work.
It is, yes. It will be a long evening and probably a long week.
I was hoping you could speak a little bit to, obviously the UAPD is a smaller agency than the Fayetteville PD, but when this many law enforcement officers come out all at the same time, could you speak to just the impact that has? What are you trying to do stuff like that?
There's your beta roll soundbite, yeah.
Well, just the impact that it has on law enforcement's ability to do your real job when you're messing around with.
Well, to be honest, our real job is just this at that time. And no, I understand what you're saying, but no, there is nothing more important than that at this point. All the other calls are put on hold unless they're emergencies, and then we'll have either officers that are available. We had officers come in from the home, and we'll send them to those calls, or we'll ask another agency to cover those calls. I will say that the multiple agencies set up a unified command, and that worked very well together. Our officers, as well as the other agencies, meshed together in response teams, and were able to communicate and work very efficiently and effectively.
Does anything change with the first football game of the season being this coming weekend?
Not at this point, Chip, thanks. Not yet, no, but obviously this will be on our minds as we continue our planning.
And to be crystal clear, are we saying it's a potential hoax, or it is a hoax, or is
At
it-
this point, we have nothing to prove that it was a real call. Any other questions?
When's the last time, how often do you do active shooter training on campus?
So one of the things that are goals for our department this year was to put all of our officers through 6 active shooter training events. And so far we've done 4. So we do it quite frequently. We held an active shooter full-scale exercise just a couple of years ago up at the health center, where we had us and Fayetteville PD, Fayetteville Fire, and Central EMS all part of that activity.
There were no reports of injuries, like people falling down some stairs in a panic? Right?
Not that we've been told.
Did Fayetteville detain somebody? You said you guys didn't, but my newsroom keeps saying that they're seeing a picture of somebody detained by some law enforcement.
Yeah, so we had a couple of individuals that were stopped. We had a report of possibly somebody with a gun in one of the parking garages. We stopped them, identified them. They were released. So they were not arrested, no charges are pending at this point.
What do you want people to know about, I know you don't, about how serious this is. This is a hoax. This is no joke. I mean, there were people walking out in fear. Class was canceled. I mean, there's freshmen here that are just starting their first time away from home. What do you want people to know about this?
Again, what we want folks to know is that we do take this very seriously, and you're exactly right. If you looked at the emergency vehicles that were lined up down Maple Street, you could see how seriously we take these types of calls. And it isn't a joke. It's not funny. It's not something that we want folks to think, oh, let's see what kind of response they can get, or let's see what they do if I do this. This is not a joking matter. It's a life and death situation. It could very easily have been an active shooter event, and we want folks to understand that that is not something to joke about.
Is there going to be a bigger police presence? I noticed on Dixon Street, we had a lot of patrol cars. I didn't see any of yours, but moving forward, is there going to be a bigger police presence in this area leading up to the football game, or just in general because of this?
Yeah, without getting into specifics of our security plans, you'll probably see more officers out on, more visible. Let's just put it that way. We'll have more visible presence, not only on campus, but I'm sure Fayetteville will as well. Anything else? All right.
Thank you so
Thank you guys
much.
for your time.
Thanks.